Unified School District. The boardroom is obviously open, and we're broadcasting these over Zoom to provide the community an opportunity to watch in on the meetings. We're reconvening to our open session. We just came in from closed session, and we're calling the meeting order at 19:15 hours. Be advised, that's part of our technical side over here, is that Tri-Valley TV, Channel 28 broadcasts these meetings on Wednesday and Saturday evenings, and on Monday, Friday, and Saturday mornings. We're going to start with Emma Smith leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So get someone to come up and help the kids out. You got to hit the button one. There you go. And we'll start on you guys, whenever you want to go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. I mentioned we're coming in from closed session, and any actions that the board takes in closed session, we report out. And we did take actions this evening, and I'm going to start this evening with Trustee Wong.
Mr. President, in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of student A. Based on that information, I move that we approve the staff recommendation for the stipulated expulsion of student A.
I second that. Is there any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong?
Aye.
President Bueno?
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Trustee Druin?
Not Mr. Druin, Mr. President. Mr. President.
It must be the
No.
reflection in the laptop.
In closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of student B. Based upon that information, I move that we approve the staff recommendation for the stipulated expulsion of student B.
Thank you. I second that motion. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
President Bueno?
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Trustee Guzman.
Mr. President, in closed session, we received information pertaining to the recommended expulsion of student C. Based upon that information, I move that we approve the staff recommendation for the stipulated expulsion of student C.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you call the roll.
Myself, aye. Trustee Druin?
Aye.
Trustee Guzman?
Aye.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
President Bueno?
Aye. That motion carries also unanimously. Thank you very much. There was no further action taken by the board in closed session. Again, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District. Our primary focus here is on the education of the kids within the jurisdiction of this agency. And during the meeting, you, our members of the public, will have the opportunity to voice your ideas and concerns during the meeting. If during the meeting there's an agenda item, there'll be time for you to have the opportunity to speak to that item. If there's a topic that you want to address that is not on the agenda, we ask that you fill out a tan speaker card like one of these right here. And if it is on the agenda, then you fill out one of these little blue ones and hand them to one of the folks on the end, and they'll work their way around here. When those cards come in, we'll call you up in no particular order to speak for no more than 3 minutes. A little timer will be activated. Now, we're going to make sure that your microphone's on if you choose to speak to an item. And something that we're doing is relative to the numbers. It's just time management. If we get up 1 to 10, and we're going to explain this for a couple more meetings, well, 1 to 10, we'll go 3 minutes. If it's 11 up to 20, we'll go down to 2 minutes. If it's 21 or more, we're going to come down to maybe 1 minute, just in an effort that, and if someone's speaking to an item, whether it's on the agenda or not, and the folks in the audience are in agreement with it, just simply raise your hand, and then your voices are heard a little bit, and we're looking and we're taking notes at the same time. And we're going to make sure that the microphone is functioning and that we can capture it because people are watching and we want to hear what you have to say. As a reminder, these meetings are televised again on the great Tri-Valley TV. These particular ones are on Channel 28, Wednesday and Saturday evenings at 7 p.m., on Monday mornings at 10, Friday and Saturday mornings at 0900. Moving into Section 4, changes to the agenda. I'd ask Mr. Van Schack, our superintendent, if there's any.
Mr. President, we have no changes this evening.
Thank you. We can move right into our recognitions. I know we look forward to those.
Yes, a couple of great groups to recognize this evening. We're going to start off with Smith Elementary School, and their principal will come forward and introduce to you some outstanding students, and that's Miss Marty Angelo.
Sorry. Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet and Community. I am Marnie Angelo, the very proud principal of MSC Smith Elementary, and it is with great pleasure that I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt recognition and appreciation for the outstanding work that has been planned by our Cougar Council presidents. We have a unique opportunity with our council in that each of the Cougars before you will have the opportunity to showcase their leadership skills for 1 month during the school year. These leaders will plan and lead school-wide assemblies each month to promote character education with our school community. We have one tomorrow, so feel free to stop by, 8:30. While the assemblies are formatted to be informative, they also inspire our students to embody the values of respect, kindness, and responsibility. In this past month, they have been making weekly announcements on the PA system to keep our students informed about important events, achievements, reminders, and also the winners of the weekly Pause raffle. This creates a sense of unity and togetherness within our school community. The Cougar Council plans and executes recess activities that have brought a lot of joy and fun to our students during their breaks. And this creativity in designing games and activities has contributed to the overall positive atmosphere of our school. And as their leadership skills continue to develop, I look forward to witnessing the great things that they will achieve in the future. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to publicly recognize this exemplary group of students and the Cougar Council coordinators, Pauline Galvan and Estelle Coffin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I love your dresses. I like the sparkles. Congrats. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. Always. Thank you very much. Nice job. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's easy.
I know to wear heels now.
Good job.
We need a slide-out box.
Yeah.
Is this a slide-out box? What? We need slide-out boxes. Yeah. It's an old Barbara box. You
Get over
literally had a
here,
box.
Oh, yeah.
So when she did pictures behind the podium,
Yeah.
she would stand on a box. That's why she was always the same height.
I go behind you.
Good job, Cougars.
Okay, here we go. All righty.
Take a screenshot of the,
Yes.
right?
Thank you, Smith. And now we've got a recognition for one of our favorite community groups, right?
Long-standing partner of the school district and incredible member of our community, and I'd like to invite Ms. Michelle Dawson forward to introduce some really special guests.
Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and cabinet and community. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to recognize our Livermore Rotary Clubs and the outstanding ways in which they support our students, our staff, our schools. And I'm thrilled to have, we have 3 Rotary Clubs here in Livermore. We're fortunate to have 3. The Rotary Club of Livermore, Rotary Club of Livermore Valley, and the Livermore Rotarian Foundation. Rotary International is one of the largest service organizations in the world. Their mission is to provide service to others, promote integrity, and advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. And they pay particular attention to our schools and our students, and we're so grateful. So I want to now introduce, come on up, ladies. Representing each group tonight is the president of their organizations. From the Rotary Club of Livermore, the president, Sheila Faliano. And from Rotary Club of Livermore Valley, Sherry Simoni. From the Rotarian Foundation of Livermore, Basant Abdul Rahman is here tonight. So thanks for being here. I'm going to share a little bit about some specific things that each organization has done to support our students recently, and then talk about some collective things that kind of cross over more than one organization. And here we go. So we'll start with the Rotary Club of Livermore. This club, the original club, I should say, has been was founded in 1947. So for 76 years, this club has supported our community. Some of the things recently that Rotary Club of Livermore has provided funding and support for, a recent donation of $25,000 to our Teen Mental Health First Aid Program, which will help us expand to not only Livermore high school students, but now Granada high school students to engage in that program. So we're really thrilled about that. They provide music scholarships to 8th through 12th grade students. They are involved in the READY program at Junction Avenue, and that stands for Rotarian Educating and Directing Youth. And that happens, it's a mentorship program, and that happens every Monday at Junction. They support youth in government. So they invite our students to attend one of their meetings. They provide lunch, and the students get to experience and understand, what Rotary does and kind of experience one of their meetings. Each year they honor our outstanding educators and administrators in a ceremony. They've provided the back to school barbecue at Maryland Avenue, which has been fantastic. And the Rotary Parade, as we all know, is sponsored by this club, and it's just a fantastic way that our students get to not only participate in the rodeo, but also, they raise money at that event, and they give a lot of that back to our students and to our schools. The Rotary Club of Livermore Valley is highly involved in the Granada High School Interact program. They provide an advisor for that group. I'm told that this is a growing club at Granada, and they contribute to the leadership programs and some trainings that the students get to go to, and just help to make that a really foundational club at Granada. While all Rotarians were involved in the Ambassadors of Compassion pilot program at Junction, it was first brought to the table by Rich Goldstein as part of this club, and it was it's a character education program, and RISE stands for, let me find what RISE stands for. Responsibility, Initiative, Service, and Expectations. And so this was a fantastic program. I had the chance to participate in it myself, but so many Rotarians gave of their time over 10 weeks to participate in this program with students and really do a lot of positive character building. Their chili cook-off, which is actually this weekend on Saturday, so be sure to go to that, gives our students a chance. Our Del Val students actually won first place in the chili cook-off last year. We're going to see if they can do back-to-back chili this year, and that's a photo of them on the screen there. And it's a wonderful community event, but it also gives our students a chance to shine and be out with the community. They've also provided a grant to Quest to provide science on Saturdays, and we know that those are highly attended. Many of our students and their families love to attend those events, and so that's a huge contribution as well. The Rotarian Foundation of Livermore has been doing the Gift of Reading program for our third grade students for many years. In the past, it was a dictionary that each third grader received, but more recently, that's transitioned to a novel that each student gets to select from a list. They work with Town Center Books, our local bookstore, to purchase all these books, and each student gets a hardbound book that they get to make part of their own personal library. And so this is a fantastic program. This is like $15,000 worth of books every year that are donated for our students for them to keep. And so it's an amazing program, and our students are very excited when they get to participate in this program. Recently, the foundation also awarded over $200,000 in community grants, and many of those benefited our students. I'll mention a few: our Livermore High School music program, Altamont Creek and their early literacy and STEAM exploration. They contributed to the Ambassadors of Compassion program. They helped with the Fab Lab over at Vineyard Alternative, Safe and Sober Grad Night donations, our Livermore High our baseball batting cage improvements were all recipients of part of these community grants. And they've given so much more to the community in general. And then they do an annual Pedrosi Scholarship also, which again benefits our students. Our students are the recipients of these scholarships. Some commonalities, both the morning club and the noon club recognize Students of the Month. They all provide mini grant opportunities for our teachers and educators and our staff. We have 5 cycles a year now between the two clubs that allow our teachers, our nurses, our librarians, any staff member to apply for a mini grant. And they give so much every year, you know, over $25,000 in grants, you know, each club to our teachers and classrooms. And then obviously the community events that they are part of, you know, not only bring the community together and give our students a chance to shine, but they just do so much. And so I want to mention a few things, in particular the Community Service Day. We know that a lot of our schools benefit from that, and they're big supporters of that. The chili cook-off, as I mentioned earlier, and they were also part of bringing Violins of Hope to our community, and all of our middle and high schools got to benefit from being a part of that. So I'm sure I missed something. I'm sure there's so much more that these groups do. They really give so much of their time, not just their money, but their time. They really are invested in our schools and our students, and we are so grateful to all of you, to all of your organizations for the ongoing support that you provide our students and our staff and our district. So thank you.
Please come on. Surely. All that without a single fine. Okay. Okay. Good night. All right, that was nice. We're going to move into Section 6 for those following on the agenda. This is our student board member reports. And so these are students that come here to represent the two comprehensive high schools, Livermore and Granada. This evening, Emma Dawson, actually Michelle Dawson's daughter, is going to come, and she's going to stand in at Livermore. And so we're going to start off with Granada and Amanda Dunmeyer for Granada.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet, and community. My name is Amanda Dunmeyer, and I represent Granada High School. I would like to congratulate the Granada 2024 Merited semifinalists Abraham Mercier and Zufan Shi. Granada hopes to help as many Maui schools and students as much as possible through the Mats Love Maui fundraiser campaign. We collected $2,408. Way to go, Mats. Where would we be without the love and support of our brass band, prep band, and Granada cheerleaders? Thank you for your continued support and for sharing the Matador love with our fans. The Granada Chemistry Club has started up. The Chem Club is where students can receive tutoring and homework help in chemistry. They can tutor other students for volunteer hours, do fun labs, and participate in competitions. Our math club is back on Wednesdays to assist students with math equations and prep for the annual American Math Competition. Thank you, Arizona State, Washington State, and Whitaker College for joining us in the quad and sharing information with students about your schools. Congratulations to Ms. Elizabeth Watson, who was named Granada Staff of the Week. Granada High received the Silver Implementation Award from the Granada's PBIS Coalition. Way to go, Granada! On October 5th, Granada's Homecoming Carnival will be held in the quad. On this night, Granada High School will host its first ever Granada Night Rally and Drone Show. The homecoming football game will be held on October 6th. All Granada alumni are invited to attend our 18th annual alumni barbecue on Friday before the game. The homecoming dance will be held on a Saturday night. We're expecting over 1,000 students. That's it for today, Granada. Stay classy.
Nicely done. Thank you, Amanda. And now Emma Dawson for Livermore High.
Okay. Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet, and community. My name is Emma, and I am filling in for Catherine, representing Livermore, as she's unable to be with us tonight. So these are some Livermore updates. Senior picnic was held last Friday, which was a lot of fun. It was a great first of many future senior activities. October is a very busy month for us. Our beloved PSAT on the 26th. The Fall Festival on the 27th, which is hosted by our sophomore class. It's an event open to the public with food, games, and lots of fun. And of course, we're all very excited for our homecoming dance on the 21st and our homecoming game against Dublin. It's also our Pink Out game for breast cancer awareness, and we have leadership run fundraisers, and all of the proceeds are donated to American Cancer Society. Our homecoming skit practices are also currently happening with music genre themes, which is a lot of fun. It's a great morale booster, and it provides opportunities to connect with other students in your class that you don't usually see or share classes with. This week is also a Spirit Week for Unity. I encourage everybody to wear orange on National Anti-Bullying Day, which is October 11th, and also October 18th, which is Unity Day. Recently, we had our Wellness Center counselor, Mr. Radicke, and a Livermore High senior, Alex Feathers, featured on the Stories of Hope panel, which was a discussion panel about a new documentary that follows 4 teenagers through their struggles with mental health and their recovery and healing. Mental health awareness is really important at LHS. A roundtable will be held with our local elected officials on October 10th for World Mental Health Day to talk about our district's wellness plan. This event includes a tour of our LHS Wellness Center and engagement with some of our culture keepers to learn more about how students and staff can create a supportive environment for students on campus. This month's PBIS theme is anti-bullying, and our LHS Culture Keepers are busy creating lessons that are pushed out every Wednesday that are centered around anti-bullying and how to address and prevent it in school. The second Principals Advisory Committee meeting was held on Thursday, which is all about addressing student concerns on campus. It's an incredible opportunity for students to have a voice about and an opinion on things that go on around campus. And it's nice to also hear feedback from admin about things that we can do as students to improve the culture on campus. And that's it from LHS. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to move into our employee associations. We're lucky enough, fortunate enough to have our leadership come to some of our meetings and give us updates on what's going on. And coming up right now is the representatives for LEA, the Livermore Education Association. I'll let them introduce themselves as they come up. Good evening. You're off. Now you're on.
I feel fancy, the clicker's here. Can I control something? Good evening, Board President Bueno, Superintendent Van Schack, members of the board and cabinet. I'm Amy Thompson, President of the Livermore Education Association, representing teachers, nurses, counselors, psychologists, speech pathologists, and teachers on special assignment. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what a union is and what our goals are as union leaders. Over the past several years, I've heard comments that have negative connotations, such as the union is the cause of a particular problem or the union is to blame. This tactic is called third-partying the union, falsely making it seem as if the union is some separate entity from the teachers that people love. I want to first make it clear, I am not the union. Eileen is not the union. Eileen and I are elected union leaders. The union is the 700-plus teachers, nurses, psychologists, speech pathologists, and teachers on special assignment in our district. When we come to speak to the board or speak with district leadership, we're not speaking on behalf of ourselves. We are speaking on behalf of our members, the union. Our goal as union leaders is to make our district the best it can possibly be for students. To accomplish this, we listen to members to surface concerns. We bring those concerns to the appropriate people for a solution. We have no interest in doing battle with anyone. We have no interest in figuring out who's to blame for something. Finding blame is a diversion from the real work which needs to be done. The real work is quickly solving problems in collaboration. If we can quickly address issues, we can allow teachers to focus on the most important part of their job, which is working with students in the classroom. A little later tonight, you'll be hearing about an issue with social studies that we, LEA leadership, helped to surface due to communication from our elementary members. Our district was not aware of the issue until we brought it to their attention. Then we worked together to solve the problem. I am proud of the work that we do. Our hope is to be value added to our district by improving communication, streamlining processes, and building trusting relationships to allow for problem solving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. I don't see her here tonight. We have Stephanie Wagner, who's with CSEA. And Christy Governor is with SEIU, and then Lily Lopez does our confidentials. So we're going to move into communication from the public. Communication from our public is the time for you to comment either in writing or verbally on any item that is not on the agenda. Now, we, the board, may listen to the comment, and we may ask clarifying questions of staff following, but we can neither discuss nor take action on items that are not on the agenda, and this is all in accordance with the Brown Act. So anyone who would like to address something that is not on our agenda, this would be the time to do so. We already went over the 1, the 10, and 11, which, just looking at numbers, is probably not going to apply tonight. I do have one card this evening, and so I will call up Crystal Menaki. Okay, I'm going to let you say it properly. Go ahead. Hit the button on the base. There, now you're live. And keep it about that far from your, when you talk, and a little closer, and we'll hear you.
Okay.
Closer. There we go.
Good evening, Mr. Bueno, and the school board, superintendent assistant et al. Hope I got you all. I too manage boards and HOAs and high rises, so I can appreciate the Brown Act and I completely adhere to it, so I'll be fast. I'm here tonight because I had an incident happen with my daughter. My daughter goes to Altamont Elementary School. Both of my daughters do. My son actually works for Right at School, the program that is there. He's there in the mornings, and he has his own school in San Ramon in the afternoons. I'm coming to today with a pretty severe incident that happened with my daughter. I don't take this incident lightly, and I don't think the education system shouldn't either. The date of the incident happened a few weeks ago where my daughter was poked and touched in her vagina several times. I was called several hours after the incident by the principal, who I took her word for it. I actually, she actually had me speak to my daughter. She said, "Hey, heads up, this is what's going on. Your daughter was poked today in her vagina. The child is very impulsive, and he's been severely punished." I said, "Okay." She said, "If you hear anything over this evening from your daughter, more, add to this scenario, let me know." Okay. I gave everybody the benefit of the doubt, let them do their job. I have several children, not my first rodeo, right? So I see my daughter at school, and she was pretty distraught when I picked her up. The first thing I was upset about was that the after-school program knew about it already. And that's my job to talk to my daughter about it. I got the call from the school. I didn't elaborate on anything else. I wanted to talk to my daughter before it went anywhere else. So I spoke to my daughter about it at home, and I've talked to her a million times over since the incident. My issue today is that when I was told that the child had severe punishment, I trusted the principal that my daughter wouldn't go back into the classroom the very next day to see this child. I was surprised to learn that from my daughter when she came home, again distraught that the child was in the classroom. So I went into the school the next day, and I had a conversation with the principal. I have sent several emails here and there to both her and Mr. Connor. I had to physically drive down here because I wasn't getting any responses, and I physically had to drive here where the staff here wasn't too pleasant with me because I was knocking on the door at 5 o'clock and they had to go. It was time for them to leave, and I completely understand. But as a parent, I hope that the board today understands my severity and what I need to do as a mother. My daughter's here to see that I'm taking it seriously because her school hasn't. This is the start of young women getting hurt and not thinking that anything should be done. So now I am left with what to do to pick up the pieces moving forward. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if she's going to be touched again. But how she responds to it is a direct indication of how you guys responded to this situation.
Thank you. We have no other comment cards, and we're going to go ahead and close public comment. And then if any board members have any follow-up questions.
Could we just have staff follow up on this and let us know the situation and what's going to happen with that? Thank you.
Yeah, and there would be, is there consensus on the board that we want to, yeah, I'd like to see full follow-up on this. Thank you. Okay. We're going to go into correspondence, 8.2. Formal written correspondence to the Board of Education shall be acknowledged if received by the board or in the superintendent's office by 4 p.m. the day before the meeting. Formal written correspondence received after the cutoff time will generally be acknowledged at the following meeting. Be advised that it's off here, but the correspondence received via the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District website under formal written correspondence to the Board of Education with all fields completed and verified will be treated as formal written correspondence. And with that, I'd ask our clerk, Trustee Prusso, if there is any, and if you could, I know there's one, if you could summarize, please.
We do have one. Lao Vong, a community member, requested information regarding how to put names down for public comments. That's the conclusion of our board correspondence.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move into 9, which is our information discussion items. And Mr. Van Schack, if you could introduce 9-1, please.
I am very happy to introduce Ms. Melissa Thede, who is going to provide to the board an overview of Education Code Section 60119, which has to do with instructional materials.
Thank you, Superintendent Van Schack, and good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, and fellow cabinet members. As Superintendent Van Schack mentioned, this is a Education Code compliance item where we discuss the sufficiency of our instructional materials. It's aligned to Education Code 60119, where school districts must certify the sufficiency of our textbooks within the first 8 weeks of school. Sufficiency is measured, as you see, by making sure every student has standards-aligned textbooks and materials in the 4 core subject areas: English Language Arts, Math, History, and Science. This education code was expanded to also later include health and foreign language and the availability of laboratory science equipment for grades 9 through 12. This year, both Granada High School and Livermore High School were selected for Williams Act monitoring. This took the form of an audit where the state came in to verify sufficiency of materials. Granada High School had their visit on September 15th. They found 0 insufficiencies. Livermore High's visit was on September 19th, and similarly, there were no insufficiencies found by the state. As alluded to by our partners in LEA earlier this evening, our elementary science curriculum is no longer in print by the publisher. It's about 20 years old, and the publisher is no longer offering the workbooks that go along with our adopted curriculum. What we have done for the short term is purchase orders are in place, and in fact, we have the Newsella Social Studies online curriculum available for students in grades 2 through 5. K1, we have purchased materials from Social Studies Weekly, which is a print document that comes weekly for our students in grades K1, and those materials have been purchased. Long term, we do hope to adopt a K-12 science, or I'm sorry, not science, a K-12 social studies curriculum. And in fact, we have reached out to our administrators, and we're gathering teams now to create the committees to review various curricula for adoption when and if the funds become available for us to be able to do that. But I just wanted you to be aware, while the board-adopted curriculum is no longer available by the publisher, we have provided alternate standards-aligned curriculum as a supplement for this school year. As mentioned previously, both Granada and Livermore High were selected for monitoring. Did I go backwards? I did. So the next steps are for us to hold a public hearing during this meeting this evening and allow members of our community to share their thoughts. And President Bueno, I turn it over to you, and I welcome you to open the public hearing on this item.
Okay. So we'll open the public hearing on this item. We have no cards on this item. So we will close the public hearing on this item. Is there any questions from board members on this? Trustee Guzman?
Thank you for the update. I want to clarify about social studies. So it sounds like there's a stopgap. That's the right term, because what we were using is no longer being published.
That's correct.
And I understand the district is collecting information from administrators to see what's next. Do we have a potential timeline? I know we're seeking funding, but do we have a potential timeline of when we anticipate we will be adopting new curriculum?
So our plan is to create the committees and come together to identify for every elementary, middle school, high school, because we're overdue for all of those. Bring committees together and go through the process of piloting, and we plan to come before our school board in the spring with recommendations for adoption.
Okay, so right now we're gonna purchase something for all K-12, or
It will be different based on, obviously, elementary will have a publisher, we'll have something for middle school, and then in high school, we have various subjects.
But we,
World history, right, but it'll be something for each grade level is
Right.
the plan.
Okay.
But it really is pending the revenue source allowing us to be able to move forward with that purchase. That
Okay.
is a costly investment
Right.
of a few million that we would need in order to be able to do that.
Okay, so right now, the critical part is K-5 is where, like our other grades, even though we need to purchase an additional new curriculum, my question is we have the materials. We're not doing something temporary for 6 through 12.
Correct. The challenge with elementary school is
The
that
consumables.
typically you would have a teacher's guide and a textbook and an accompanying workbook.
Yeah.
For elementary, the workbook is the textbook.
The consumable, I got it.
It's
Okay.
the consumable item, and that is, you're correct, elementary would be our priority in terms of availability of materials.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a consumable.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Trustee Wong?
Actually, Trustee Guzman asked the questions I have the answer, so I'm good, thanks.
Perfect.
Same? Okay. Trustee Drone?
Mine's more theoretical, I guess. What does the Williams Act monitoring look like? Do they go into the library and they look at the textbooks, or do they go into the classrooms? Like, what is that?
They
Is it
absolutely
guided or?
do. They come on campus, they work with our librarians, they verify that we have a textbook for every single student in all of those subject areas that we just went over, the 4 core areas, and expanded into health. They go into science classrooms, look at the materials. They are very thorough in their audit.
Do we need to have a physical copy of a textbook for each student, or
So
have we
the-
moved beyond and e-textbooks count as well?
That's a great question, and the education code does allow for electronic access for ebooks or online platforms, as well, as long as every student has access both at school and at home.
Thank you. I know each year that it is a threshold that we have to meet, because I know as board president, I have to sign the Williamson stuff to make sure that we're in compliance from a federal level. I didn't know that there was an 8-week window. It says that on here. So given the fact that we don't have these consumables and we're in the process of it, will there be Williamson Act implications because of, I don't want to call it a delay, but the fact that we didn't have them on day 1 and we're in October?
No, that's a great question. So the rule is that we have to hold the public hearing within the first 8 weeks of instruction, but we have time. We have additional 2 weeks. So the materials are ordered. The online access for grades 2 through 5 has been granted. They have access at this time, so there's no delay there. We've verified with the company with whom we have purchased the K-1 materials, and those have been shipped and should be here at any time. So we do have 2 additional weeks to actually get any materials, and we will have everything prior to that deadline.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for your work with LEA on this. They're
Absolutely.
teachers in the classroom, so they're going to know they're on the front line. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a non-voting item, and the public hearing is, we'll close the public hearing, the public comment. Okay. 9.2, please.
All right, moving on to 9.2, I'd like to invite up Kim McNeely, our bond director, to provide the board and community with a Measure J update.
One more time. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and Cabinet, it's my pleasure to provide a Measure J bond program update for you this evening. We worked on several of the master plan projects over the year, and I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on that in the coming slides, but these are the 3 that we're currently active and working on. I'm going to start off this evening with the Maryland Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math, the STEAM renovation project. We're moving forward on schedule with that project. At the end of September, I'm really pleased to say that we submitted for the first phase documents to the Division of the State Architect, so we are on track to begin that project in the spring as we had planned. We are now doing campus ed services and bond team monthly coordination meetings, and we will continue those through the duration of the project. We issued over the summer a request for proposals for pre-construction services, and a recommendation for a contractor that will be working on this project with us should be coming to you at the next board meeting, so we're excited to move that forward. The Phase 2 design is moving forward, and we're on schedule to submit to DSA by the end of the calendar year, and that will put us on track for the next phase of work on this campus as well. Just a couple things for the board to recall. This project is possible as a result of Measure J bond funds and bond reimbursement from state bond funds. Again, recall, probably more for the community than the board, that local funds are required to apply for state bond funds. This is a matching program, and local resources are necessary for us to apply for state bond funds. But we are very happily the recipients of those funds, and thrilled to be able to do this work at Maryland Avenue. Moving on, we're continuing on with the work at Granada High School. The upper image should be pretty familiar at this point. This is the new classroom building that we are working on at Granada High School. This is from the student courtyard area. The project is moving forward well. It includes now the renovation to the existing gym and a new gym lobby area, which is the very preliminary drawing that you see at the bottom of the screen. The team is on schedule to complete design development on these projects by the end of the calendar year, which puts us on track for hopefully moving forward once funding is identified to move this work along. Next, but certainly not least, is Livermore High School. We have a new classroom building here and student union, and a science, technology, engineering, art, and math building on this campus as well. Recall that staff was looking for alternative approach to replace the building that we needed to demolish as part of constructing this new classroom building. We have identified a location, and you see a very preliminary in the lower right sketch of an image that we are working on with regard to that new STEAM building on the campus. This project is also on schedule to complete design development by the end of the calendar year, again, which positions us to be able to move forward as soon as funding is identified for the project. A lot of summer work this year as well. This is a list of the summer 2023 projects. Everything was complete over the summer, and I'm going to go through those in a little more detail for you as well, but this is the list of the work that we were working on or doing this summer. So we did the second phase of the asphalt repair, seal coat, and restripe project, long name. The second phase of the work was done at PE space at Christensen, Junction, and Mendenhall, and then we did parking lot work at Granada High School. These, in fact, are images at Granada High School, and I'll show you an image from the play space as well, or the PE space as well. So the upper left image is the staff parking lot at Granada High School before, and the upper right image is the work as completed. And similarly, the lower left image is the student parking lot at Granada High School, and then the completed work in the lower right. So a big improvement, I think, just aesthetically to the campus, and certainly will prolong the life of this space by the maintenance that was done. And then just for reference, this is an example of PE space that was done. This is actually at Mendenhall, and the upper left image is the before, and the lower right image is how that PE space looks. We are now working with Ed Services, and as the board, I think, is aware, we are doing consistent gaming and PE striping based on curriculum standards. So every campus is consistent at this point, and we're offering striping and gaming that supports our PE curriculum. In this particular case, we were also able to expand the asphalt a little bit under the solar panels there, so we gave them a little bit more play space as part of that project and more PE room. So it was a nice bonus on this particular one. We also did HVAC replacement work, again, this is at Junction. The board may recall that we started this project in the summer of 2022, and because we had long lead on several units on this project, we completed the work over this summer. So these units are the final piece of a project that had really long lead times, as we have talked about. You can see in the images there that we have not only, I believe, created much more conducive space in terms of comfort inside of the building, but we have also, I think, created a much more maintainable and clean roof line so that we are more easily able to maintain. So the upper left image is before. The lower left image is us craning units on over the summer. If you don't have anything to do in the summer, it's a lot of fun to watch. And then the two right images are the roof as it looks today. Again, I hope a much more enjoyable and pleasant work and school environment, but also I think something that we'll be able to maintain more easily moving forward. We also did we also are working on a second phase of HVAC replacement. We began that work this summer at Christensen Middle School. Recall that phase 2 work is the replacement of 25-plus-year-old HVAC units on our campuses. We will continue that work into 2024, but what we did in this portion of the project, it's all based on the specific needs of the campus, is new HVAC closets in the corner of the room, and then a much more streamlined and distributed duct system that should make for a much more pleasant and comfortable environment in the room. Phase 2, again, will continue in 2024, starting in the winter, and that will be at Arroyo Seco, Croce, Rancho, Livermore, and Granada High Schools. Fire alarm continued this summer as well. Phase 2 happened at Christensen and Mitchell this summer. Well, that didn't switch, or it's switching slowly. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, so these are fire alarm devices, examples of the work that was done at those two campuses. Again, this is the second phase of that work. Work at fire alarm work was done at Junction and Livermore High School last summer. We continued that work this summer at Christensen and Mitchell, as I noted. As we're nearing the end of the Measure J funds, the district has been pursuing other funding sources, and we've talked about that, I think, at several meetings. Although alternative funding is relatively small when you look at it in the scope of bond funds, it's certainly significant and does allow us to continue work and improvements on our campuses. This was energy efficiency funding that we talked with the board about earlier this year. It is allowing us to do LED lighting upgrades on our campuses. We will go through every campus in the district. I think it's a great example, and it really, I think, does fairly dramatically show how much more inviting that interior space is. The left image is the before picture of the lighting before the LED retrofit, and the right is an example of the space after that. I think we're getting really nice candlelight candle width at the table. It's a much more inviting and bright space, and we think that's really helping the room. We will also be doing solar panels as part of this work. That will happen at East Avenue, at Mitchell, and at Livermore High School. That work will begin over winter break, pending DSA approval. Also worth noting on the LED lighting retrofit, that's all happening after hours, so we aren't impacting classroom instruction. We are coming in at the end of the school day and working till about 2 a.m. Every day to get this work complete during the course of the school year. Just an ongoing quest. I think we're all on the same thought process of making sure that we do as much as we can to maintain instruction and not disrupt it, and this is a way we can do this work. So. And then last but not least is the matrix that we update pretty regularly. This really covered all the projects that I reviewed this evening. All of the projects were within budget and on schedule as we completed them this summer. We're about 95% through of the original Measure J bond funds. And as we noted, we are continuing to pursue alternative funding mechanisms to supplement that, but we are coming to the end of Measure J, as you can sort of see in the projects that we're doing. We are, to note on here, we are also doing a healthy air efficiency assessment currently. That will, through a grant program at CalShape, that will allow us to assess heating and air conditioning units across the district. Once we've completed that assessment, it makes us eligible to apply for repair funds to do some work to address anything that we identify in that assessment. And so we're really happy about that work, and that is going very well. That's an alternative timeline. That starts at 5 a.m., goes until school starts, and then we go to the roof for the rest of the day and do unit assessment on the roof. So anything in classroom is happening 5 a.m. to about 7:30, and then we're moving onto the roof and assessing units at the end of during the school day when we don't bother instruction. So it's been busy, but a lot of great alternative work that we have been able to pursue through some of these other funding mechanisms. That concludes my presentation, but as always, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, as always. We'll begin with Trustee Druin.
First of all, thank you so much for your work. I think it's just a lot of the projects that you describe are win-win, right? It's solving a problem and it's making it better for the future. It's reducing costs. I think it's just exciting work. And then secondly, you mentioned DSA. What is the DSA?
Division of the State Architect. I apologize.
Okay, that's all good.
One of the many acronyms
Yeah.
we have. Yeah.
And then regarding the fire alarm updates, I've heard from parents and faculty at both Junction and Mitchell about fire alarms going off. And at the new building that I worked at Tracy High School, we had a new fire alarm system, and it had some growing pains as well. And I recognize that, but fire alarms aren't things to mess around with. So I was wondering if you could kind of talk to us about the process and things that we can, are we hopeful that we can, I don't know, I don't know much about fire alarm systems, so anything you can tell me about, it would be great.
They're unique, let me say that in both of those examples, Junction's fire alarm work was actually done in summer of 2022. And this year, or over the summer, we started to have some issues with that fire alarm, but it had operated the whole last year with really no issues at all. So it does speak to your comment that they can be quirky occasionally. We do have dedicated staff to that who are completely committed to resolving any issues that we identified. All the work is under warranty, so we're actively working with contractors. In the case of Junction, we tried troubleshooting a couple of options, trying to basically just remove what were likely scenarios. We believe that at Junction, we've got that one completely resolved. It looked like it was related to specific devices within a room, but even a single device can set the entire alarm off, unfortunately, as should be the case for safety. So that one we believe we've fully resolved. Mitchell, we believe, is a programming issue. These are all high-tech anymore, and we believe that the panel is incorrectly sending an error message. So again, we think we have the troubleshooting done on that, but rest assured, we are well aware that this is really disruptive, and we are actively devoted to working through it and solving it and working with our contractors. So.
Thank you.
Before we move, I just wanted to add on, I know a little bit about fire alarms.
Fire alarms?
Yeah, I mean, history as a fire chief. And what I'd like to just find out is, sometimes there's a numbing effect when you have false alarms. And I want assurance that we're not numbing in any way. In other words, if there's an alarm, that we hold the alarm as 100% accountable 100% of the time, that we don't ever disregard the alarms.
And that's what happened.
And that's exactly.
The numbing effect.
People do
I was the
workarounds.
only teacher that was, every time it goes off, we're leaving. And they're like, oh, come on.
Well,
give it a minute, and then they'll come over. And it was like, no, this is...
It's really dangerous to do. It's never advisable under any circumstance. And that's why I asked, because the question's been posed, so I'd like to, Mr. Van Schack, if you could address it.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason it is so disruptive, is because we do sort of drop everything and evacuate, and have to do that 2 or 3 times in a day is incredibly disruptive to the classroom environment, to instruction, and the alternative is, again, to ignore it, which is not a direction we're going to go. So we accept the fact that it's very disruptive. It will continue to be disruptive until it's completely resolved, but that's just a conversation that we've had with staff and we've had with students, that it's not something that we can ever ignore.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Trustee Prusso.
In relation to the fire alarms, I know at Livermore High School last year, I don't know if it's happened this year, the fire alarm goes off a lot because the kids pull it. So I don't know, there's something we can do about that, but it is disruptive. But they work. I guess that's important to note. I just wanted to say thank you for, especially, like, you've done really well. Your team has done really well just with the projects in general and with the funding, and just to the community, like to all of the taxpayers who supported this, that it's been handled really well, and the things that we're seeing in the schools, it's just amazing. And but I also just want to point out and appreciate the creative alternative funding sources that you've looked at. I mean, just to get the LED lighting done and to have people working at night to do it, I'm just hopeful that the community recognizes that effort, and I think it's just really great for our students. So thank you for doing that sort of extra above and beyond things to make sure that our students have the best learning facilities available. So thank you.
if I could acknowledge as well our business team who actually secured all that funding for us. We implemented the work, but they did the hard work of getting us the funding, so thank you to them too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Guzman?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'm really just fascinated and impressed with the HVAC replacement at Junction. These pictures, the images, that looks extremely, dangerous. It just looks really open and exposed before of the HVAC and how it's now completely streamlined. Yeah, so I'm just thinking like there could have been a bunch of stuff happening, people falling, tripping, whomever is up there. So that's amazing. And then the second thing, I had a question regarding, I appreciate everyone working evenings so as not to disrupt education or the learning that's taking place. The question is those that are working in the evenings, is it a combination of Livermore staff, contractors, both? I'm just curious.
The bulk of the burden is the contractor, of course. They're the people actually implementing the work, and then our staff slides to supervise. So we have coverage of the projects from our team, but obviously the detail work itself is all done by contractor.
Okay. So thank you for adjusting your time and your hours so that it's not disruptive to the students and the learning.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wong?
My nephew came home from school yesterday looking like he'd had a lot of sun, and he said they have 4 fire drills, so I can attest they went out every single time the alarm went off, which I appreciate. I want to thank you, as always, for your stellar program management of all these projects. And I know with a district of our size, with the number of schools we have, this isn't the end of all the work that needs to be done. Can you give just a couple of examples of kind of future work that you would like to see happen on which campuses? What kind of projects would we need to do down the road?
Certainly, some of the hope of that is out of the master plan work we collectively did as a team. We did, as you are aware, a full assessment of the district, and this is the beginning of the need. There isn't any doubt about that. An older district such as this, that isn't unique in any way at all. Ongoing needs continue to exist. I think we've collectively looked at some priorities potentially, and certainly 2 of them were in front of you this evening. The 2 high school projects are projects that I think are critically important because of the needs on the campus, the fact that every student in our district will attend those 2 facilities, and they have the largest number of portables in our district that we would like to ultimately replace. There's certainly lots of other needs, but those are 2 immediate priorities I think that we would like to address.
Okay. Yeah, just because you said we're 95% of the way through Measure J, and I wanted to clear to the community that there's still a lot more need for our facilities. Thank you.
Ongoing maintenance is another good example. We saw several slides of that this evening. There is definitely not adequate funding in California to address ongoing maintenance needs as well. That's another opportunity that will help us stay on top of issues so that we don't have failures or more dramatic needs. So being able to do that would be another great example. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe some folks, and I appreciate the update. You've done stellar work on almost all the work. It's been ahead of schedule and under budget. That goes to great management, and you're the person charged with that. So that credit goes to you and all the people that are underneath you, working with you and beside you, as well as some of the creative stuff we did to get matching fundings from the state. They went to Maryland and Junction coming up. So that's just, it's great work. I do want to express publicly that the benefits of this bond and also the necessity of having these bonds, that this type of work cannot be done. The funding doesn't come as part of anything else in the state of California, and it's expected that, is it about every 10 years on the norm, that we should have some type of facilities bond? I know we did some of our projects simultaneous, so it sped that up.
I would say neighboring districts run in the range of probably 8 to 10, every 8 to 10 to keep up with the needs.
And some of these things, like the fire alarm systems, those are life safety events. And while they might be problematic, the old systems we found to be much more, I don't want to say reliable, but they were more they weren't problematic. They had less electronics, but they also had less capabilities. So when they went to the computerized systems, they're a little more problematic when you're putting them into an old building, because you still have some copper wire and things like that, and you're trying to cross-pollinate two different things. But I can't reiterate enough that we don't have, that we don't ignore those in any instance, that they're not silenced. There's always things that people do to try to work around them, but there's things you can do to maintain the integrity of the system, even when they're problematic. You can post fire watch. You can monitor for people that are pulling alarms. There's all kinds of ways that you can do prevention on that. So life safety, I mean, we always talk about our number one priority is safety of our students. Those systems are there for a reason. Exit doors, automatic fuse links, all that is there to protect people who are in those buildings. They're not there to protect the buildings. They're there to protect the people in them. I do have a question on the solar, and it looks like we're going to expand our arrays at East, Mitchell, and Livermore.
Correct.
And my question is, as we're expanding, the logic behind, or the methodology behind how you calculate those, we are leasing those systems. So we're essentially buying the power back from the people who install the panels at a lower rate than PG&E offers us the power. So as PG&E's rate for the power goes up, and we're at a fixed price off of these panels, our savings goes up. Am I correct in that assessment?
That is correct on existing systems. The newer systems are district-owned systems. So the panels put in at Livermore High School on top of the sports complex are district-owned. So we get 100% of the savings and benefit. This funding mechanism that we're working on currently, those are district-owned panels at those 3 sites. So
Okay.
we receive all of the benefit of the savings.
So we're actually getting it from ourselves. In either configuration, whether you have ownership or lease and you're buying your power at a reduced rate, the panels have a coefficient that's designed how much DC turns into AC on the panels. But they, not only do they degrade over time, but when they get dirty, and that's my point comes to, is that do we have a system in place that provides for the cleaning of the panels? Because as they accumulate dirt and dust from the quarries and just pollution in general, they don't generate as much power.
That's all correct. Yes, part of the handoff of most recently, the sports complex at Livermore High School is a full training on the building with our maintenance team, and part of that training did include the solar panels, the maintenance of those panels, and how to deal with cleaning of them. So not just the solar panels, but whenever we turn a project over, there's a full training of all the building systems and how to effectively maintain it as part of the handoff of the building. That, in this case, included the solar panels, and will as we implement more.
Will we be, I mean, you may not, it might be Mr. Van Schack, will we also be expanding that protocol to the leased panels, the 14 to 17 different sites that we have those? A maintenance thing, and not just in terms of, you know, a junction box cover being off, but actually cleaning them, because while we will be buying less energy from them, that means we're buying more energy from PG&E at a much higher rate. And I know that initially we saved about $200,000 a year, and most recently it was about $1 million due to PG&E's increases.
My understanding is that the company we lease those from actually handles the cleaning themselves. Is that correct? I think
That is
that's
part of the lease arrangement.
part
That
of
is the lease
part of the deal with them is they come out and clean on a regular basis.
Okay. It's just, maybe we could do a follow-up, because, you know, as you know, I mean, I'm at the high school every day, and in multiple years, I've seen them clean them one time. And it's just, they probably have a price point that it's not worth them cleaning them, because they need so much buyback of their energy to pay for their capital investment. But the offset to us is that we're buying electricity at a much higher rate. So I believe that it would behoove us, in addition, either to kick their side up in terms of maintenance and cleaning them, because it's a financial savings to us. And I haven't seen a calculation. I'm just looking at dirty panels, and the quarries are on the west side of us, and the wind blows to us. So, okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Number
you, Tim.
9.3, please.
Yeah, 9.3 is enrollment staffing report. I'd like to invite Kelly Mankey, our Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, and Cabinet. I will be presenting our enrollment and staffing report tonight. Lots of clicks. All right, so these are the things that we consider when we start doing our projections. We start looking at projections in about February, actually even starting in October. I start looking at our numbers and start preparing for the next year. I work closely with Teresa Fiskus and Business Services to monitor how we're doing, and all of these things are considerations. So we look at returning students, our housing construction, our attendance, historical attrition, and then our transfer requests will start coming in. Clicking issues here. All right. So this is our enrollment by grade. These are our current numbers as of our 10-day enrollment, which is an important number to us. That's when we kind of end our daily look at things. And so things settle. Our transfers are all set. People have moved in. School has started. And that's the number that we look at as our 10-day enrollment. And so that is a comparison with last year. So you can see, we're up a little bit, and we'll talk about that and which areas we're up and why. This number right here does not include our students that are enrolled in our non-public schools and private schools. That's about 64 additional students. So these are actually students, warm bodies in seats on day 10 of our enrollment. So this is our enrollment by our school side, so we'll start with our elementaries. You'll see the difference in our enrollment on the right side there, and what that shows us is our current is on the left, our last year is in the middle, and our difference. And so you'll notice at our elementary school sites especially, you'll see that increase. This year we added 8 TK classrooms. So almost all of our elementaries have 2 TK classrooms. Rancho has 1, and Maryland has 3. So hoping to increase their enrollment there. We start them young, hopefully keep them in our system and at the school site to build at the Maryland Avenue STEAM Academy. And so that's why you'll see that greater number there. Also at Lawrence Elementary, we added a 4th grade class over there this year, and so that's why you see the big jump up in Lawrence as well. Our K-8 schools. You'll notice some of the differences. It doesn't necessarily mean that they lost all those students. They could also be transfers, so it doesn't mean that they left the district entirely. But we did have some fluctuation amongst our schools this year. We were pretty tight with our transfers. Our schools held tight to the students that they had, but you will see some transferring happening at Joe Mitchell and Junction. Our middle schools. And then our secondary, including Vineyard, which Vineyard does have, that enrollment shows our TK through 8. We don't have any TKers. I think they start 2nd grade. I think they have 1 kindergartner, and then they jump to 2nd graders. You'll also notice at Del Val, you'll see the difference there, and that's because we have students that graduated. We also have students that aren't starting right in their school. Sometimes they move there if they're credit deficient. We'll probably see a jump there starting in the 2nd semester of the school year. That's why you'll also see some numbers increase at Livermore. There was a lot this year back and forth between Granada and Livermore with transfers, and so that's where you'll see Livermore going up a little bit there. This is our enrollment historically. So what this shows is stability. We have a district that is relatively stable. We don't see big dips in enrollment. This is what we like to see. It helps Teresa for sure with her planning purposes, with her budgeting. Usually anything more than like a 2% change is something that we consider insignificant. So we're not even close to that number. And so you can see in the COVID years there, had some little dips, but we're kind of going back up, and we're actually at about pre-COVID numbers at this point. It's an important slide to show because the district and the board have really taken advantage of class size and how we can maintain smaller class sizes, and we've been able to maintain relatively low class sizes. You can see in the comparative to last year that we really have not jumped too far ahead of or where we were, even through making some adjustments with our staffing allocations and our budget and all of those kinds of things. Our goal for TK through third grade is between 24 to 26 students, and for fourth and fifth grade, 30 to 32. So this is our TK through third grade, so we're well below that average. And then, I don't have that slide, but it does, in our fourth and fifth, we are relatively staying in the same boat. Getting into our staffing allocation, so this is our 23-24, this is our certificated staffing. We're at 796 certificated employees. That includes everybody that has a credential of sorts. And so we had last year 818, so we're down 22 of our certificated employees this year. Again, getting back closer to COVID numbers, we increased during COVID to make sure that while we were in Zoom learning and distance learning, that we had more help in the classroom, smaller class sizes so that we can manage doing distance learning. And so through attrition, we've kind of gotten back to those pre-COVID numbers. These are classified numbers. Last year, we had 701 classified employees, and that's a difference of 15. We were working really hard, the Human Resources Department, for our retention practices and working with our bargaining groups to make sure that our salaries are competitive, that we offer great benefits, and we have really increased the level of professional development that we offer to our employees as well. Even working, starting to work with some of the colleges for bringing in some teacher programs directly into our district so that we can use our current employees and help them get the credentials that they need to stay here. So this is kind of a summary of what you saw overall. You went adding the 8 TK classes. We have an increase of 21 students this year with our staffing allocations. So TK, it's a 12-to-1 ratio. So most of our TK classrooms are 24 students. So we have 2 instructional support providers in those classes. And so looking at how we are appropriating our support staff into our classes, including our special education classes. And then also looking and working with the city to monitor any either new construction or just moving in and out the vacancies that are here in our district. That's kind of what we see in Livermore, is that we see the ins and outs, and we don't see a lot of new construction internally with families coming in, but we see the vacancies with our families leaving the state is what we've seen, that trend of happening for a couple of years. There we go. And then our next step. So we continually to monitor our enrollment. Like I said, I work closely with Teresa Fiscus and Business Services. We continue to look at our demographic information, again, where those families are coming in, where they live, what our projections tell us, where are our hot spots. And then we'll be looking at our capacity. I also work with our bond department. Kim does a great job of producing our capacity report for which schools have the most potential for growth, and so where we put those next TK classrooms and things like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have no cards on this. We'll close public comment, and we'll begin with Trustee Guzman.
Yeah, first, thank you, because I know staffing was an issue last year, or in the beginning, and much higher this year. So that was a huge effort on your team. Thank you for that. And then a question, you mentioned there's an increase in enrollment at Lawrence, and there was an addition of 4th grade. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so what happened for this year in 4th grade, so Lawrence doesn't have school boundaries, right? So we don't have students that are assigned to that site. But when we have transfers, we prioritize for our families that already have students at those school sites. So if I have let's say somebody was already in 2nd grade and they have a sibling, and so there was kind of a bubble in 4th grade that had happened since kindergarten. We kind of expected this to happen. So in 3rd grade, they had, I forget how many classrooms, let's say 3. And so 4th grade only had 2 classrooms. So those same kids in 3rd grade have to bubble up to 4th grade. And we will probably at some point, we'll be looking at our enrollment to see if there'll be a need to reduce at a grade level next year, because the bubble will be moving into 5th grade. And so those same groups of kids, so we'll need to make sure that we follow the bubble, but we don't want to send kids to a different school that have already been in that school, or if they have siblings at that school. And so the best decision that we thought this year was to add a class, knowing that in the future there may be a reduction. But right now, we just wanted to follow the bubble.
Okay. So that was, okay. So I understand there isn't, it's not a typical your neighborhood school. So those are students, so because we're also an open enrollment or a choice school, are parents or families choosing to go to Lawrence as well? And that was in addition to that bubble? Is that how that's working, or?
Yeah, they have seen an increase. And again, a lot of, if their bubble, this 4th grade group, for example, now their siblings are coming in, they're TKers, and so they want to keep their kids together. Okay. We saw more of that than we did a brand new student coming in at a higher level. It was more of those TK, adding an additional TK, and then siblings coming coming to the school as new students in kinder and TK.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Appreciate the update. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, in our ongoing series of school reports, today we get the benefit of hearing a little bit about MSC Elementary School. And so I'd like to invite forward once again Ms. Marnie Angelo, the very successful and very proud principal at Smith.
Thank you. Good evening again, Board President Bueno, members of the board, Superintendent Van Schack, Cabinet and Community. I am Marnie Angelo, principal of MSC Smith. The side one? There we go. Thank you. All right, I'll highlight a few things for you on this page. These are just awards and projects that we've been working on that we're very, very proud of. The first and foremost is our What I Need Now time, which we call WIN time. That's the dedicated 40 minutes every day that the students are assessed and then regrouped within the grade level, and they'll go out into and work with a different teacher, perhaps at that grade level, to get exactly what they need at that time. So it's phonemic awareness and phonics, fluency, and comprehension. So that's been working really well. I'll show you in later slides that just the amount of growth that has been made at school. We're very proud of our COST team as well. COST is our coordination of services team. We meet every other week, and teachers are referring students who feel that they need a little extra support with academics or behavior or social emotional supports. And then as a team, we're discussing the resources that we have available for them, and then we will work with the families and work with the students to give them also what they need. And this year we earned the Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports Gold Award. We were a silver last year. The PBIS team consists of a group of teachers, one from every grade level. They're very passionate about what they do, and it has created a really nice, positive and safe environment for all of our students. You did see our student council today. They're pretty amazing, and hopefully you can come to their assembly tomorrow, 8:30 on the blacktop. And then if you want to stay for recess, they'll have those really fun games going on. So I encourage you to wear your tennies and join us. We're going to be starting a student ballet this year. It's something new. Now that we've opened the campus up in the mornings for the students to come on campus before the 8:27 bell, so they're coming on and interacting with each other around 8:15. And we want to have a more streamlined way to get them dropped off and onto that playground safely. So that's coming. Our demographics have stayed pretty steady. We have 678 students. Our major ethnicities are the white, Asian, Hispanic, and Black and African American. Our Asian population is the one that's growing the most rapidly. They've grown 7% since last year, whereas the white and Hispanic are staying pretty steady. And same with our English learners, our students with disabilities. We have slightly more on campus this year than we did in the past. We've opened up a third learning center classroom, so we have a teacher at the K1 level, another at 2-3, another 4-5. They each have pairs assigned to them, and the students that were assigned to them were typically in a special day class, and now they are integrated into the classroom, and the pairs go in and support the students. We're very proud about that program, and it keeps growing. I mentioned our win time, and that's contributed a lot to our success this year. Our CASP scores went up by 1% in both language arts and math. We're doing a lot better with our attendance rate, and we really attribute a lot of that to the students really feeling connected at school. So we're up at 80% right now. Teachers are greeting the students at the door more frequently, and again, our PBIS, all those things that we have in place to recognize students and to praise them are making it just a much more enjoyable campus, and it's showing in their academics, so we're very proud of that. One thing that I wanted to touch on before I forget is we do have our designated PLC time, so thanks to the curriculum department, we're able to provide a half-day sub for our teachers at every grade level 3 times during the school year. That's when they're getting together, they're looking at the data, and then they're reorganizing the students to make sure that they're getting what they need during win time. I was able to sit through all 6 of those grade level meetings, and just the amount of collaboration amongst the team and their willingness to really support each other, and also to be learning new curriculum that they can use to really support what the students need has been just a tremendous feat on their part, and very proud of them, what they've accomplished. You can see here down at the very bottom that our first grade had a 55% jump last year, and that was due to their universal access win time. They have bumped it up. It's more like 40 minutes a day right now, but we're very, very proud of that. We have a referral system I wanted to note, even though it looks like it went down slightly, less than 1%. We're attributing that to more fidelity when it comes to PBIS and making sure that the students are held responsible, that they know what their expectations are, and we're working on praising them, but there's also going to be times where they're going to make a mistake, which we encourage them to do, and it's just a growing pains for us right now, but we're hoping to get that number back down. We'll continue with our professional learning communities, especially because we know how successful they've been. This year, I want to bring One School, One Book to Smith. I did talk about that last year at Croce. It was a program I brought in. Every student on campus reads the same book at home with their families, and then when they come to school, we do little activities and assemblies. We do trivia, but it just gets everybody excited about reading, which is what we really want to do, and to build that homeschool connection. I have, in addition to student ballet, we're also going to try to implement some friendship ambassadors. We're going to start with the 4th and 5th grade level and have the students in those grade levels become trained, so to speak, in reaching out and supporting students who might not have anybody to play with or just kind of wandering on their own, because we want to create a more inclusive environment. And so we're going to try out that. And that's all I have for you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. We have no cards, so we'll close public comment, and we'll start with Trustee Prusso.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the Easy CBM first grade, that's just remarkable.
Yes.
That's really exciting. And I just did want to point out, even though there was a little bit of a loss for the 3rd grade Easy CBM, that you already had a really high number there. And as well as the CAS scores, I know that they were just a small percentage increase, but again, those are already high numbers, so I think little by little we'll just keep those going up. I know this is your first year at Smith, and I think it's exciting that you've found a new community and that you're doing some new things. I love the One School, One Book thing that you do, and the Friendship Ambassador sounds really awesome. I think we should do that at all the schools, high school too. Thank you for coming to present. This is great. Well, we'll have to make it to some recess. I don't know if I can be there tomorrow, but
I'll keep inviting you the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
Thank you. Trustee Wong.
I also just had to highlight that 55% increase. I thought, is that a typo? Is it supposed to be 5? I mean, that's sort of unbelievable. I just want to say welcome to the neighborhood. You're my neighborhood, and my kids went to Smith, so it's great to see you there. And I love this idea of all the successful programs at Croce that you're bringing to Smith. I love the idea of our principals moving around and bringing their favorite programs from their schools and spreading them throughout the district that way. So very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Drone.
Trustee Wong stole some of my thunder, but I think it's just great to bring some of the, bring the ideas and experiment. I think that's what we're here to try to meet the needs of the students. So, and then building from Trustee Prusso's One School, One Book, do you know what the book will be?
Not yet. They have quite a selection to choose from, so I was going to leave that up to the students and staff.
Well, yeah. When you find out, let us know.
Do you want a book?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get you a book. You can be a guest reader for us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. And thank you for taking over the school, for this year. And I just don't want to fail to recognize the accomplishments, these being last year, most of these, the comparison, that Mr. Meunier, who's over at Maryland now, had the helm there for quite some time. And so I just want to make sure that we acknowledge some of his accomplishments and some of the deeds that he's done in getting Smith. It's a high-profile school, and I know there's a lot of demand, so I really appreciate you stepping in and taking over the reins at Smith.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time.
All right, we're going to move into our action items, or voting items, and I believe we have one this evening.
Just the one this evening, and so the actually final presentation is going to be provided by, again, Kelly Mankey, our Assistant Superintendent, and then this is really a review of some work that's been going on over the last year or so, and it's culminated in some I think some great results, and Ms. Mankey will share those this evening.
Thank you. All right, good evening, Board President Bueno, members of the board, and Superintendent Van Schack and Cabinet. So I will be seeking your approval of revised job descriptions for CSEA. And in order to get us started, I want you to understand where I'm coming from, why I'm presenting these to you. So I want to go back in time a little bit and remind you that about a year ago, a little bit more maybe, we started working with a company called EMS, and they're called Educational Management Systems. And this was an agreement with our classified bargaining group, CSEA, SEIU, and CMC. And so they came out and did some work for us to evaluate how our programs compare to other districts against market value, against internal equity, and then give us a report so that we can make decisions. And so it's an unbiased way for us to share with our bargaining groups the different job classes that we have and how we compare to our neighboring districts. And so what you have in front of you is the scope of the work that EMS did. They identify purposes, and we identified with them our purpose, our functions, what we want them to look for, and our bargaining groups contributed to the purpose there. And then what they did is that they met with 27 different focus groups, 135 employees were interviewed, 18 supervisor validation meetings, and then they wrote draft job descriptions, which were reviewed by 580 incumbents, and were updated for our review if we choose to use them. So EMS actually found that our district's compensation structure and longevity steps are competitive with our surrounding markets. There were no recommendations for improvement that were issued to us, and in those findings, they looked at our salary and thought we were very competitive. They looked at our salary structure with longevities and steps, and then they also looked at stipends amount, professional development opportunities. Additionally, they found that our district's compensation structure and longevity steps were competitive with the surrounding markets. They were looking at paid leave and our health contributions, and at the time, they had no recommendations for improvement. So sometimes throughout their analysis, they would make tweaks to job descriptions, and they make them as a recommendation or an idea or something for us to consider. So sometimes they'll say other job markets don't call somebody a paraprofessional, they call them a paraeducator. And so they'll make that recommendation if it's something that we choose to make a change on. We work with our bargaining groups. So if they have recommendations, so after the report is done and rolled out, we give a copy to all of our bargaining groups. And again, this is CSEA, SEIU, and CMC, and they review them. If they find that they want to go deeper and change job descriptions or move people, reclassify them on salary schedules, then they bring that to the negotiations table, and then we discuss it further. Through that process, they brought forward these 5 different job classes: campus supervisors, child welfare and attendance specialists, data specialists, payroll specialists, and senior program assistant. And in their language, what we found in comparison with other districts is that there was just some outdated language, things that we use that were just, we call things information, it should be called data, so there were just some language changes and a few things that we changed. For example, campus supervisors, they have set job hours, and anything after hours would be overtime. And so supervising a dance or a football game or things like that are past their hours. And so the original job description had that in there. We don't expect them to work till 10 o'clock at night free of charge kind of thing. And so we made some updates to these 5 job descriptions and salary ranges. So at this point, our recommendation is to approve the revised CSEA job descriptions for those 5 job classes.
Okay, thank you. We have no comment cards, so we'll close public comment on this. It's an action item. If there's no discussion or questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I have one question.
Please.
A clarification, what is a supervisor validation meeting?
So when they interview the employees, so the employees all get a copy of their current job description, and they are asked to, in my team, Michelle Hilgero did an amazing job working with EMS, because literally she goes through every job class and sends them a copy of their current job description, and they scribble on it. They write notes, they tell us, no, I don't do this, I do this. They add information that they think should be considered. EMS then compiles all of that and then goes to the supervisor. So for example, a campus supervisor, the high school principals would get together and say, and validate or not whether the changes that they're saying are reflective of the actual jobs that they're doing. And so if they say like, yeah, we don't expect them to do a homecoming dance, that's extra, then they're just validating the word. And so it's just kind of a chance for everybody to have input.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'd entertain a motion on this item on 10-1.
President Bueno, I move to support the superintendent's recommendation to approve the revised California School Employees Association job descriptions.
I second that.
So we have a motion by trustee Druin that's been seconded by trustee Guzman. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thanks for the presentation. Thank you. All right. We have consent items. I would like to pull 11-8 for a little discussion amendment. And if there's no others like to be pulled, we have no comment cards, so we'll close public comment on that. I'd entertain a motion to move them 11.2 through 11.7.
President Bueno, I move that we approve consent items 11.2 through 11.7.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion by trustee Prusso, and it's been seconded by trustee Wong. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. The reason I pulled 11.2, it's approval of the special board minute meetings. And I just noticed that one thing, I would like to amend them to include the discussion we had on the high school schedule. While it might have been part of the item, it was, in my mind, it was a separate discussion and had some comments and some back and forth. So I just want the minutes to reflect that.
So we'll vote on an amended at the next meeting?
Or
do you vote now with an amendment?
We can amend that, and as long as the superintendent's receptive, and we can get that amended, then we can approve it now.
You could approve with an amendment.
With an
Yes.
amendment, okay.
Right. So the amendment would be to include the discussion on the high school schedule at our two comprehensive high schools. And if that's captured, then I would make a motion to accept, to move 11.8 as amended.
I move that we approve consent item 11.8 as amended.
Yeah, we could second.
Do you want me to say what that is?
You could just second.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh. I thought you said I'd entertain a motion. I was like, why are we saying it twice?
No, I move.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Clearly, I'm
So-
seconding it.
So we have a motion and a second by trustee Prusso. Any further discussion on the motion? And Madam Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Myself, aye. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Druin. Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
President Bueno.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, we have some consent resos, 9, 10, 11, and 12 for current year. Unless anyone, we have no comment cards, so we'll close that. Anyone would like to move them in their entirety?
I move we approve resolutions 009-2324 through 012-2324 in their entirety.
I second that.
So our motion is by trustee Wong to move them in their entirety, and it's been seconded by trustee Guzman. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, if you call it.
Trustee Druin.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Guzman.
Aye.
Myself, aye. President Bueno.
Aye, and that motion carries unanimously. None of our consent.
We did.
Yeah, we voted that.
We did that out of order.
Well, kind of.
It's fine. I'm fine with it. I'll allow it.
I don't want to lose track of it. Okay, we'll start with our board member reports. We'll start with trustee Prusso.
Okay, great. I feel like it's a punishment, but I'll take
No.
it.
Center stage.
we've had a busy couple of weeks. Green Strides, I think all of us were there, and that was really exciting. I'm sure everyone will have something to say about it, but we were able to go to Altamont Creek and support them. They were one of, I believe, 10 schools in Northern California who were chosen to be recognized by the U.S. Department of Education and the California Department of Education for their environmental practices, sustainable school environment practices, and all the things that they're doing. It was really fun to go. There were a lot of people there. And my favorite part was the mobile planetarium, which was really fun. And finally learning how to sort my trash the correct way. Next time I go to the airport, I will be confident and I will know which one to sort it in. So that was really exciting. I learned that from the students, and it was great. Also, Christy and I were able to attend the Algebra Task Force. I think it was the first meeting of the new school year, and we have a new task force, some of the old from carried over from last year, and some new people as well, and it's kind of exciting. I feel like we've got some renewed energy, and just really working hard to improve the algebra for our students across the district, in every school, in every grade. So that's really exciting. And then also, this last week was the Tri-Valley Educational Collaborative meeting at Las Positas, and that is with Pleasanton, Dublin, and Livermore getting together. And it was great having it at Las Positas this year. And then, as was mentioned, the Livermore Learns film event was also last week. A really great look at mental health, which included some of our students. And it's something that I know we're focusing on as a district, so it was a great event. And then also, as everyone here, we had a special board meeting where we discussed different programs in the district, as well as a possible schedule change at the high schools. It was, I think, a great meeting with lots of good discussion. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Trustee Druin?
I, as well, joined for the first portion of the Green Strides tour at Altamont Creek. It's fantastic to see such fanfare and appropriate fanfare for awesome work being done at Altamont Creek. I, too, attended the special board meeting. I also attended the RTF Strategic Planning Committee, which I've thought about a lot, and as a board trustee, we're presented with data, and I think about data when looking at the report on by EMS and thinking about how many focus groups, and I kind of cringed in thinking about how much data and how much time it must have taken to go through that. But I raised that point because at the RTF Strategic Planning Committee, I think it was one of the first instances in which I was presented with qualitative data. So students' voices, students' perspectives to try to help us. And most of the data that were presented as quantitative, so it was, I will say it was significant to read and interact with that data. And then tomorrow is walk and roll to school and work tomorrow. So I would encourage all of you to walk to work or school or roll on your bike or rollerblades or skateboard or anything like that. So I'm going to be rolling to one of my children's school, and then I'm going to roll over to Arroyo Seco and help them celebrate people that are coming in. So that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wong.
I just wanted to say two things about the Green Strides tour at Altamont Creek, since we were all there. First, I want to thank Finna Gaddy, the science teacher there, who has done amazing work for years on climate work there. But I also wanted to mention the caliber of people who were at this meeting was amazing. I walked in the room, I went to two women I didn't recognize. One introduced herself as the California State Assistant Secretary of Education. The other one was the U.S. Assistant Secretary of Education. And I was sort of like, whoa, okay. And those were the first two people I saw in there. I attended our special ed director, Frank Salvaggio's annual presentation at the Special Needs Parents Group on state of special education. And I just want to acknowledge the two district parents who've put this group together and have run it for years, Sloan Kraft and Leah Koletniks. It's a really great group. It's a way to provide information to special needs parents and also like a support group. And, you know, when you have a special needs student, it's so overwhelming, and when you're new to it, and you always know who are the kindergarten, first grade parents in the room. And then for them to get the support emotionally and the information they need, it's really great work they're doing. And then there was one Thursday where I have 3 committee meetings, so I kind of camped out here, the strategic planning meeting, policy committee, and algebra task force, which I'm happy to be back on. I attended a Tri-Valley SELPA meeting with our assembly members, district director, regarding funding for the medical therapy unit for special ed that has, in a way, been unfairly imposed on the K-12 system. So we're trying to get her support in helping us figure out a more fair way of funding that program. Trustee Guzman and I attended the Million Miles Away presentation at the Bankhead with astronaut Jose Hernandez, which was really amazing. And then Trustee Guzman and I, again, with Tracy Christmas and Michelle Dawson, graduated from the Leadership Livermore program, had a great lunch, and took a lot of pictures. Yeah. I attended a CSBA webinar on AB 1078, which is a new state law regarding instructional materials, which is very important. And so I learned a lot from that. And last night attended a great presentation at Livermore Library on bullying, both in school and the workplace, and that was a really useful presentation. And I just want to let everyone know there are so many great events happening downtown this weekend, so check them out. I mean, just to name a few: Quest Science, the Rotary Club Chili Cook-Off, Pace for Peace, Taste of Africa, Filipino Barrio Fiesta. I mean, there is a lot to do downtown this weekend. That's it.
Thank you very much. I too went to Altamont Creek, and it was impressive. There were some old souls there that had been around the district for a long time, like David Darlington, and then there were some folks that are current Shakers. It's very impressive what the school's doing there, and along that regard, whether it's our solar implementation or the lighting changes, those are things that are really good for kids. We got a changing climate, and for kids to be impactful and they know they're impactful, that's the future of this country. So I welcome it, and I really, truly appreciate it, and I appreciate the invite in going over there. Amanda Dunmire from Granada mentioned that it's homecoming this week. So as a coach who's coached for 20 years at Granada High School, and I support athletics in the whole valley for the last 30, I would welcome everyone to come to the August 6th to play in Dublin High School. And also relative to something else that was spoken to tonight, not to be forgotten, because it's easy to forget. I mean, we vacated the chair today, first time in American history, so a lot of things can drop off, but there's a lot of people that are still struggling in Maui, and part of that effort, our football program at Granada, we plan to donate. We're trying to donate $2,000, and we're selling some shirts that we've never sold to the public. So we're selling these Granada football shirts. They're lineman shirts, because our theme there's been Ohana, and in that coincidence, it just seemed appropriate to open those up, and so we're going to try to make a donation as well as the student body. It's going to go to the Maui firefighters, Local 1463, through the California Fire Foundation. So I'm working on that effort right now. So this is our last sell for it. So that's it, and I will pass it to our Oh, I'm sorry. Come on. I thought I always put you close to the front.
You get the last word.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Amanda Buzz.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to just speak about the things that I did many of these, but what I also was able to do, I went and visited with Mr. Mune at Maryland Avenue School. He gave me a tour, conversation. I got to see universal access in action with a 3rd grade class doing fluency, also looking to and observing the designated ELD. for there. Afterwards, I had a great conversation with Mr. Connor, who did more in-depth universal access. And there's a lot of work and thinking that goes on behind to do this not only systematically at a school site level, but to do it district-wide. And any possible objection that could come up, like where am I going to find the time or what resources am I going to use, it's so well thought out, and I just know how many hours that goes into. So thank you to Mr. Connor for doing all that work, front work, so that it can be done effectively at the classrooms. And for all those schools that have adopted it and are doing it, we're seeing great gains. So I would just want to really formally thank you, because that's a big, heavy lift. Thank you for that. And yeah, I'm going to agree with Trustee Wong. There's a lot of great things coming up on this weekend. I really do appreciate what I saw at Green Strides Tour at Altamont Creek with what, Quest Science Center put together. I did an activity on building the highest tower that had to withstand a hurricane. I was not the winner per se, but I was also not the last. So yes, so that was pretty good. And yeah, this time now, Mr. President, you can hand it over to
Thank you.
our superintendent.
Thank you very much. My apology. Mr. Van Schack.
Thank you, President Bueno. So we have now passed the midpoint, actually, of the first trimester, which is a normal checkpoint, as we've noticed, for student progress. Parent conferences at the elementary school, midterm assessments at secondary. Teachers are using the data gathered in these assessments to modify instruction, which is, we've seen some incredible results from that process already. As we mentioned earlier, this is homecoming week at Granada, which has always provided us with thrills. And for me, the best thing is to see hundreds of students come together for a common purpose. I think a lot of competitions can be divisive, but I know that Granada and the way that they've embraced togetherness during homecoming week is really something to see. And so if you have an opportunity to do so, go out there Wednesday or Thursday and see what it looks like having 300 kids try to choreograph a dance together. On Thursday evening, we celebrate East Avenue teacher Irene Lucero at the Alameda County Awards Ceremony in Castro Valley. Ms. Lucero has done some amazing work and is incredibly deserving of this recognition. As the community is aware and was discussed a couple of times tonight, we're considering a move to at the high school level to a semester-based schedule, which would divide the year into 2 18-week instructional periods as opposed to the 3 12-week sessions we currently have. We are still gathering information to ensure we're making the best decision possible for our students, but a decision will be expected by the end of this trimester. Coming up soon, we have the Great American Shakeout, which is a statewide earthquake drill. This provides us with an opportunity to practice the utilization of our Emergency Operations Center, which provides support for all of our schools in the event of any major emergency. We do appreciate and want to recognize the effort of our school sites to eliminate hate speech and to practice acts of gratitude. The board passed a resolution this evening stating very specifically that we are affirming the importance of kindness, acceptance, and inclusion for all. We have a district-wide focus this year on elimination of hate speech and appreciating one another and practicing acts of gratitude, and I really think that work is making a difference in the culture of our schools. So good night and stay safe.
Thank you very much. No further business. We'll adjourn at 21:13.